After finishing their drinks, they decided it was time to leave. John walked Lisa to her car, offering one last smile. "It was great meeting you, Lisa. I hope to see you again soon." "Me too, John. Thank you for everything," she said, her heart racing as she watched him drive away. As she got into her car, she felt a mix of emotions: gratitude for John's kindness and fear from the mysterious message. Little did she know that this encounter would change her life in ways she never expected, setting off a chain of events that would challenge her strength and courage. The mysterious message. After John drove away, Lisa sat in her car for a moment, trying to gather her thoughts. The warm glow of the cafe felt distant now, replaced by the cold grip of anxiety that tightened around her. She took a deep breath and tried to shake off the tension. It was just a message, she reminded herself. But the words echoed in her mind, filling her with dread. "I know what you did. Don't think you can run away." The text was cryptic, and its meaning haunted her. What did they know? Who was behind it? For weeks, she had been trying to move on from a past that she thought was behind her. But now it seemed that past was resurfacing like a ghost, refusing to be buried. Lisa turned her phone off and shoved it into her bag, unwilling to confront the anxiety that came with it. She started her car and drove home, the familiar route now feeling heavy and uncertain. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with tension, mirroring her thoughts. When she arrived home, her parents were sitting in the living room, chatting and laughing. The comforting scene made her smile, but the weight in her chest remained. "Hey, Lisa, how was your day?" her mother asked, looking up from her knitting. "It was good, just a little hectic," Lisa replied, forcing a smile. "I had a bit of car trouble, but a nice guy helped me out." "Glad to hear you're okay. Come sit with us," her father said, waving her over. Lisa joined them on the couch, trying to immerse herself in their conversation. They talked about their day, sharing stories about work and the funny things that happened. Lisa laughed, enjoying their warmth, but inside she felt distant and anxious. As the evening wore on, Lisa excused herself to her room. She needed time to think. Once inside, she locked the door and pulled out her phone again. She stared at the screen, the message still there, a taunting reminder of her past. It took all her strength to ignore it, but she knew she had to take action. After a few moments of contemplation, she decided to call her friend Maria. Maria was not just her best friend. She was like a sister. They had been through everything together, and Lisa trusted her with her life. "Hey, Lisa, what's up?" Maria answered, her voice cheerful and warm. "Can I come over? I really need to talk," Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Of course. I'll be here," Maria replied immediately. Within minutes, Lisa was back in her car, driving to Maria's house. The cool night air felt refreshing against her skin, and she welcomed the distraction of the road. As she drove, she replayed her day in her mind. The flat tire, meeting John, and the ominous text. It felt like a surreal dream. When Lisa arrived at Maria's house, she knocked and was greeted with a warm hug. "You look stressed. What's going on?" Maria asked, her brow furrowing with concern. "I got a strange message today," Lisa started, leading Maria to the living room. They sat on the couch, and Lisa took a deep breath before explaining everything. The flat tire, John's help, and finally the message that had thrown her into turmoil. Maria listened intently, her expression turning serious. "That's really unsettling. Do you have any idea who it could be?" she asked, her voice steady. "I don't know," Lisa replied, shaking her head. "I haven't done anything wrong since moving here. I thought I was safe." "Let's think this through," Maria suggested. "You said you were trying to escape something from your past. Maybe it's someone who knows you." Lisa felt her stomach drop at the thought. "But I didn't think anyone from back then could find me here. I changed my life completely." "Maybe you need to talk to the police or someone who can help," Maria said, concern etched on her face. You can't take this lightly. Lisa nodded, but she didn't want to involve the police. She feared that would only draw more attention to her past, and that was the last thing she wanted. Instead, she decided to take matters into her own hands. I'll figure this out, she said, her voice firmer. I can't let this ruin my life again. The two friends spent the rest of the night talking and brainstorming. They went over every possible scenario, trying to come up with a plan. As they chatted, Maria's unwavering support made Lisa feel stronger. Whatever happens, I'm here for you, Maria promised. You're not alone in this. With that assurance, Lisa felt a flicker of hope. Together, they could face whatever came next. As they sat on the couch, discussing potential leads, Lisa's mind drifted back to John. His kindness stood out like a beacon of light amid the darkness. She couldn't help but wonder if he might be able to help her somehow. Do you think I should tell John? Lisa asked, her voice hesitant. He seems like a good person. I think you should. He might have some ideas, or know something you don't, Maria replied, supportive as always. Lisa took a deep breath, contemplating her next move. She needed to be careful, but reaching out to John could be a step towards regaining control of her life. As the night wore on, they made plans to meet again soon. Lisa left Maria's house feeling a little more empowered. She might not have all the answers, but she was ready to face whatever was coming her way. The storm might have passed, but she could sense that another was brewing just on the horizon. The unexpected visitor. The next morning, Lisa awoke with a sense of determination. She had spent the night tossing and turning, but now she felt ready to confront whatever awaited her. The sun streamed through her window, casting a warm glow that lifted her spirits. After a quick breakfast with her parents, she decided it was time to visit John and share her concerns. She dressed carefully, choosing the simple outfit that made her feel confident. As she looked in the mirror, she reminded herself that she was not the scared girl from her past. She was stronger now, and she would face whatever challenges came her way. After a short drive, Lisa arrived at the cafe where she had first met John. The bell above the door jingled as she entered, and the familiar aroma of coffee and pastries welcomed her. John was behind the counter, serving a customer, and Lisa felt a rush of nervousness as she approached. Hey Lisa, good to see you again, John said, flashing a warm smile that made her heart flutter. Hi John, do you have a minute? She asked, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside her. Of course. Let me just finish up here, he replied, motioning for her to take a seat at one of the small tables. While she waited, Lisa took a deep breath. She had rehearsed what to say, but now that the moment was here, she felt uncertain. Would he believe her? Would he think she was overreacting? After a few minutes, John joined her at the table, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. What's on your mind? He asked, leaning in with genuine interest. Lisa hesitated for a moment, then decided to dive in. I need to talk to you about something important, she began, her voice steady but her heart racing. Remember when you helped me with my flat tire? Of course. I'm just glad I could help, he said, his expression earnest. Well, after that, I received a strange message. Lisa continued, her hands nervously fidgeting with her cup. It said, I know what you did. Don't think you can run away. I'm really scared, John. I think someone from my past has found me. John's face turned serious. That sounds really alarming. Do you have any idea who it could be? Lisa shook her head, feeling tears welling in her eyes. No, I don't. I thought I was safe here, starting fresh. But now, I just don't know. Have you thought about going to the police? He asked, his voice calm but firm. I don't want to involve them. I'm afraid it will only bring more trouble, Lisa admitted, her voice trembling. John leaned forward, concern etched on his face. You have to take this seriously, but I understand wanting to handle it yourself. What do you want to do? I thought maybe you could help me figure out who it is, Lisa suggested, hope flickering in her chest. You seem like a good person, and maybe you have ideas I haven't thought of." "Absolutely, I'll help you," John said without hesitation. "But we need to be careful. Let's start by gathering any information we can. Do you have any old contacts or people who might know about your past?" "I cut ties with everyone when I moved," Lisa replied, feeling the weight of her decision. "But there's one person I might be able to reach out to. My old neighbor, Mrs. Collins. She was always in the loop and knew everything that happened in our neighborhood." "Then let's do that. It could lead us to something," John encouraged. They spent the next hour brainstorming ideas and strategies, Lisa feeling more empowered with each passing minute. John's willingness to help lifted her spirits, and she felt a sense of trust growing between them. As they wrapped up their conversation, Lisa glanced at her phone. She noticed it had several missed notifications, all from unknown numbers. Her heart raced as she thought about the possibility of more ominous messages. "I think I should go home and check these," she said, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "Are you sure you're okay to do that alone?" John asked, concern lacing his words. "I'll be fine," she reassured him. "But I appreciate your help more than you know." After exchanging phone numbers and promising to keep each other updated, Lisa left the cafe with a mix of hope and fear swirling inside her. The support from John made her feel less alone, but the lingering threat from her past remained. As she drove home, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every car that passed seemed to slow down, and every shadow felt like a reminder of the looming danger. When she finally arrived home, her heart was racing. Once inside, she locked the door behind her and sat on the couch, staring at her phone. She hesitated for a moment before opening the notifications. Each message sent a chill down her spine. "I know what you did. Don't think you can hide. I'll find you." The words echoed in her mind, fueling her anxiety. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, and Lisa's heart dropped. Who could it be? She felt her palms sweat as she approached the door slowly. Peering through the peephole, she saw a tall figure standing outside. Her breath caught in her throat as she recognized the face. It was John. Relief flooded over her, but fear still lurked in her mind. What was he doing here? She opened the door, and the moment their eyes met, Lisa felt a wave of comfort wash over her. "Hey, I just wanted to make sure you got home okay," John said, his concern evident. "I'm okay. Just a little shaken up," Lisa replied, stepping aside to let him in. As he entered, the door closed behind him, sealing them off from the world outside. Lisa felt safe, but she also knew that the storm was far from over. She glanced at her phone again, reminding herself that they had a plan, and together they would face whatever came next. The shocking revelation. The evening was quiet as Lisa and John sat in her living room, a heavy silence hanging in the air. Lisa was still processing the ominous messages she had received, and she could feel the tension in the room. She glanced at John, who was scanning her surroundings as if he could sense her fear. "Do you think it's safe for me to stay here?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. John nodded, though he didn't seem entirely convinced. "For now, yes, but we should come up with a plan. We need to figure out who is behind those messages." Lisa took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "You're right. I can't keep living in fear. Let's figure this out together." As they brainstormed, Lisa shared more about her past, recounting her life before moving to the city. She had lived in a small town where everyone knew each other, but she had also dealt with issues that made her feel trapped. There had been rumors, whispers, and eventually, a threat that pushed her to leave. "I had to start over, John. I thought I was safe here," she explained, her voice trembling with emotion. "But now, it feels like I'm being hunted." John listened intently, his expression serious. "You're not alone in this. We can do something, but we need more information about your past and anyone who might have a reason to come after you." Lisa nodded, feeling grateful for John's support. "I think I should call Mrs. Collins, my old neighbor. She might know something that could help." "Let's do it," John encouraged. "I'll be right here with you." Taking her phone, Lisa dialed Mrs. Collins' number, her heart racing as it rang. She hadn't spoken to her in years, and she wasn't sure how the conversation would go. Finally, Mrs. Collins answered, her voice warm and familiar. "Hello, Lisa. Is that you?" "Yes, Mrs. Collins. It's me. I hope you're doing well," Lisa replied, trying to keep her tone light despite the gravity of her situation. "Oh, it's so nice to hear from you. How have you been?" Mrs. Collins asked, her tone full of genuine concern. "I'm okay, but I actually need your help," Lisa said, her voice trembling slightly. "I was wondering if you could tell me about any issues or rumors from our neighborhood back home. I think someone might be looking for me." There was a brief silence on the other end before Mrs. Collins replied, "Oh dear, I'm so sorry to hear that. I remember things got a little complicated when you left. There were whispers about your family and some trouble with a group of people, but I don't have all the details." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of trouble?" "Well, there was a rumor that some people were upset with your family for various reasons. They believed you were getting special treatment, and there were accusations thrown around," Mrs. Collins explained, her voice laced with concern. "Special treatment?" Lisa echoed, feeling a mix of confusion and anger. "For what?" Mrs. Collins hesitated. "There were some disagreements about how your family handled certain issues in the neighborhood. I didn't think it was serious, but it seems it may have escalated. Do you think those people could be looking for me?" Lisa asked, her heart racing. "It's possible, dear. But don't worry. You've moved on, and you're safe now. You're not that girl anymore," Mrs. Collins reassured her. "Thank you, Mrs. Collins. I really appreciate it," Lisa said, feeling a mix of gratitude and fear. After hanging up, Lisa turned to John, her expression serious. "She said there were rumors about my family, and some people were upset with us. They might still hold a grudge." John's brow furrowed. "This is more serious than I thought. We need to find out who these people are. Do you think I should go back and confront them?" Lisa asked, feeling a surge of determination. "No, that might put you in danger. We need to gather information first. Maybe we can find out who they are without exposing you," John suggested. Just then, Lisa's phone buzzed with another notification. Her heart sank as she picked it up and read the message. It was from an unknown number again. "You can't hide forever. We're coming for you." Her breath caught in her throat, and she felt a wave of panic wash over her. John leaned closer, concern etched on his face. "What does it say?" Lisa showed him the screen, and John's expression hardened. "This is serious. We need to go to the police," he insisted. "I don't want to involve the police. It'll just make things worse," Lisa replied, her voice shaking. "What if they don't believe me?" "They will believe you, especially with these messages," John argued. "But it's your decision. I'll support you either way." Lisa took a moment to gather her thoughts. The weight of the situation was heavy on her shoulders, and she knew she needed to take action. "I need to think about it," she finally said. "But I can't stay here alone tonight." "Can you stay?" "Of course," John said, his voice warm and steady. "I won't leave you alone. We'll figure this out together." They spent the rest of the evening in uneasy silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Lisa felt a flicker of hope, knowing that she had someone by her side. But the looming threat still cast a shadow over her heart. As the night wore on, they decided to create a safety plan. They would keep their phones on and stay in constant communication. If anything happened, they would go to a safe place. But even with their plan, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The messages kept playing in her mind, a haunting reminder that her past was not as distant as she had hoped. Just as they settled on a strategy, another knock came at the door. This time, Lisa's heart raced with fear. "Who could it be?" she whispered. "I'll check," John said, moving toward the door cautiously. Lisa's breath hitched as she waited. The seconds felt like hours, and she clenched her fists, feeling the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. When John opened the door, Lisa peeked around him, her heart racing. She gasped as she recognized the figure standing there. It was a man from her past. A man she never thought she would see again. He had a familiar face, but wore a serious expression, and Lisa's stomach dropped. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, her voice shaking with anger and fear. The man stepped forward, his gaze locked onto Lisa. "I'm here to help you. You need to listen to me." An unwelcome visitor. The man at the door stood still, his expression a mix of urgency and concern. Lisa's heart raced as she stared at him, a whirlwind of emotions crashing over her. Memories flooded back, memories she had tried to forget. "Why should I trust you?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling with defiance. "You were part of the problem back then." "I know," he replied, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "But I'm not here to hurt you. I came because I heard about the messages you've been getting. You're in danger, Lisa." John stepped protectively in front of Lisa, his stance firm. "Who are you? And how do you know her?" "I'm Derek. We used to hang out in the same circle back in our hometown. I know about the issues with the group that's been targeting her," he explained, glancing nervously over his shoulder, as if expecting someone to follow him. "Why should we believe you?" John challenged, crossing his arms. "You could be part of this, for all we know." "I get it," Derek said quickly, "but I'm trying to help. The people who are after her are dangerous, and I don't want you to get hurt. Can we just talk?" Lisa exchanged glances with John, who still looked skeptical. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation. "All right, come in. But no funny business," she warned, stepping aside to let Derek enter. As Derek stepped into the living room, he took in the surroundings. The cozy space felt foreign to him, filled with warmth and laughter from the life Lisa was trying to build. It seemed so distant from the troubles of the past. "Listen, Lisa, I know you've been getting those messages. I have a friend who can help you figure out who's behind them. But you need to trust me," Derek said, his voice low. Lisa felt a mixture of anger and fear. "Trust you? You disappeared when things got tough back home. Why should I trust you now?" "I had my reasons," he replied, running a hand through his hair. "But this isn't about me. It's about you. There's a group of people who think they own the neighborhood. They won't stop until they get what they want. And I'm afraid they're coming for you." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked, her curiosity piqued despite her reservations. "They believe you got away with something when you left. They think you owe them. I overheard them talking about it the last time I visited," Derek explained, his expression grave. John moved closer to Lisa, his protective instinct kicking in. "What do you suggest we do? We can't let them get to her. We need to be proactive. I can connect you with someone who knows their movements. But first, we need to keep you safe," Derek said, glancing out the window. "If they see you here, it could be bad." Lisa's heart raced as she processed everything Derek was saying. "How can you be so sure they're after me?" "Because I overheard them talking about it. They think you've become too comfortable. They don't like loose ends," Derek explained, his tone urgent. "Great, so now I'm a target," Lisa said, frustration boiling over. "Listen, I know this is hard to believe, but I'm here to help. You can't let fear control your life. We'll figure this out together," Derek assured her. John looked at Lisa, his eyes filled with concern. "What do you think?" "I don't know," Lisa admitted, "but we can't ignore the messages. If he can help, we might have to consider it." Derek nodded, grateful for her willingness to listen. "We should come up with a plan. We can't stay here long. They might be watching." As they discussed their options, Lisa felt a mixture of anxiety and hope. With every word Derek spoke, she realized how much she wanted to feel safe again. She had left her past behind, but it seemed it was catching up to her. "Do you have a place we can go?" John asked, looking at Derek. "Yes, I have a friend who runs a secure space where we can lay low for a while. It's away from here, and no one knows about it," Derek replied. Lisa considered this. "What if they find me there?" "They won't. I promise," Derek said earnestly. We need to move quickly. Okay, Lisa said, steeling herself for what was to come. But I need to grab a few things first. As Lisa hurried to gather her essentials, she felt a surge of determination. She wouldn't let her past control her future. With John and Derek by her side, she felt a flicker of hope. When she returned, she found John and Derek deep in conversation. We need to leave now. If they find out you're here, it could be dangerous, John urged. Derek nodded. We'll take my car. It's unmarked, and we should be able to blend in. Lisa took a deep breath, her heart pounding. Let's go then. As they moved toward the door, Lisa felt a sense of urgency. She was leaving everything behind. Her home, her life, her sense of security. But she was determined to reclaim her peace. As they stepped outside, the cool night air hit her, and Lisa felt a shiver run down her spine. She glanced around, her instincts heightened. Everything felt different now. She was stepping into the unknown, and while fear lingered, so did hope. As they reached the car, Derek quickly opened the door, gesturing for them to get in. We'll be safe soon. Just hang tight. As they drove away from the familiar streets, Lisa felt a mixture of relief and fear. She was leaving her past behind, but she knew she would have to face it sooner or later. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, she felt like she had allies. And perhaps, just perhaps, they could finally put an end to the threats that loomed over her life, the safe haven. The car sped through the night, each turn taking them farther from the memories that haunted Lisa. She sat quietly in the back seat, her heart racing with anticipation and fear. John sat beside her, his presence a source of comfort as they followed Derek's instructions through the winding streets. Derek glanced back at them, his expression serious. We're almost there. Just a few more turns. It's a secluded area, so we should be safe for now. Lisa nodded, trying to absorb everything. She had always thought of her past as a closed chapter, but now it felt like the pages were being rewritten. She wanted to believe that this was a fresh start, but the lingering threats made her anxious. As they drove deeper into the countryside, the city lights faded away, replaced by dark trees and open fields. Lisa couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and unease, away from the noise and chaos, but still vulnerable to whatever was waiting for her. Derek finally pulled into a gravel driveway, and Lisa noticed a quaint cabin nestled among the trees. It looked cozy, with warm light spilling from the windows, giving it a welcoming feel. Lisa felt a flicker of hope as they approached. This is it, Derek said, parking the car. My friend, Sam, owns this place. He's a good guy and can help us lay low. As they stepped out of the car, Lisa took a deep breath of the fresh air, feeling a slight sense of calm wash over her. Are you sure we'll be safe here? She asked, looking at Derek. I promise you, Lisa. Sam has dealt with situations like this before. He won't let anything happen to you, Derek replied reassuringly. John took Lisa's hand, squeezing it gently. We're in this together. We'll figure it out, he said, his voice steady. They walked up to the cabin, and Derek knocked on the door. Moments later, a tall man with a friendly smile opened it. Derek, it's good to see you. Who's this? Sam asked, looking curiously at Lisa and John. Sam, this is Lisa and John. They're in a bit of trouble, and we need your help, Derek explained, his tone serious. Of course. Come in, come in. Sam ushered them inside. The cabin was warm and inviting, decorated with rustic furniture and framed photographs. Lisa felt a sense of comfort in the homey atmosphere. Once inside, Sam gestured for them to sit. What's going on? He asked, his expression shifting to concern. Derek took a deep breath, outlining the situation. Lisa has been receiving threats from a group back in her old neighborhood. They think she knows something about their activities. We need to keep her safe until we can figure out what to do next. Sam nodded, his brow furrowing. I'll do whatever it takes. You're safe here, Lisa. No one knows this place like I do. We can keep a low profile and monitor any threats. Thank you, Lisa said, feeling a wave of gratitude. I just want to be safe. As they discussed the plan, Lisa felt a sense of relief wash over her. She was finally in a place where she could breathe without the weight of her past looming over her. But there was still a nagging feeling in her gut. What if the threats found her here? After settling in, Derek suggested they set up a security plan. We can't just sit here and wait. We need to be proactive, he said, pacing the room. Sam nodded in agreement. I can help with that. We can install security cameras around the cabin, and I'll keep an eye out for anything suspicious. John chimed in. I can help too. I'll take shifts watching the perimeter. We can make sure Lisa is safe. Lisa looked at both men, feeling a mix of appreciation and worry. I don't want to put you in danger because of me, she said softly. You're worth it, Lisa, Derek replied, his tone sincere. You deserve to live without fear. We'll protect you, no matter what. As the night wore on, they formulated their security strategy. Sam took charge of setting up cameras, while John and Lisa helped him. Despite the tension, there were moments of laughter as they worked together, bonding over their shared mission. When the cameras were finally in place, Lisa felt a sense of accomplishment. It was a small victory, but it gave her hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could turn the tide. Later that night, as they sat around the cabin's small kitchen table, Sam prepared a simple meal. The warm, delicious aroma filled the air, providing a momentary distraction from the chaos outside. Lisa couldn't remember the last time she had felt this at ease, even if just for a moment. Thank you for everything, Lisa said, her heart full. I never imagined I'd find myself here, feeling safe again. Sam smiled, placing a plate in front of her. Your family now. We'll protect each other. As they ate, Lisa felt a sense of belonging that she hadn't experienced in a long time. The warmth of the cabin and the kindness of her companions created a fragile bubble of safety. But deep down, Lisa knew that the threats weren't gone. She couldn't shake the feeling that the storm was still brewing, just waiting for the right moment to strike. That night, as she lay in bed, Lisa stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She had come so far, yet the shadows of her past still lingered. Would she ever truly be free? Would she ever feel safe again? The answers remained elusive, but one thing was certain. She was no longer alone. With John and Derek by her side, she felt a flicker of hope that they could face whatever came next together. And that was a start. The unexpected threat. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow in the small cabin. Lisa awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of peace. Stretching her arms above her head, she smiled as she remembered the warmth of last night's dinner with Derek and Sam. They had laughed, shared stories, and for a brief moment, she felt like a normal person again. As she got out of bed, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had lingered since their arrival. She quickly dressed and made her way to the kitchen, where she found Derek and John already preparing breakfast. The smell of pancakes filled the air, making her stomach growl. Good morning, Derek said cheerfully, flipping a pancake with a flourish. Hope you're hungry. We made enough to feed an army. More like enough to feed a small village, John chuckled, pouring syrup into a bowl. I hope you like pancakes, Lisa. I love them, Lisa replied, her smile widening. The warmth of their hospitality eased her worries, if only for a moment. As they sat down to eat, laughter echoed through the cabin. Lisa couldn't help but feel grateful for the support of these two men. They had taken her in when she felt like she had nowhere else to go. She wanted to believe that this was her chance for a fresh start. But as they finished breakfast, the mood shifted. Derek's expression turned serious as he glanced out the window. We need to discuss a plan for today, he said, his tone growing somber. What do you mean? Lisa asked, her stomach tightening. I think we should take shifts keeping watch outside. We can't be too careful, Derek replied, looking at John for agreement. Yeah, I agree. I can take the first watch, John offered, his voice steady, "just to make sure everything is quiet." Lisa's heart raced. "Do you really think they will find me here?" Derek met her gaze, his eyes filled with determination. "We can't take any chances. You are too important to us. We'll keep you safe, but we have to be prepared." After breakfast, they decided to set up a more extensive surveillance system around the cabin. Sam helped them install additional cameras and motion sensors. As they worked, Lisa's anxiety grew. What if the threats she had escaped found them here? Once everything was set up, they took turns watching the area. Lisa tried to focus on the trees and the birds, but her mind kept racing. She couldn't shake the feeling that danger was still lurking just outside their sanctuary. As the day wore on, Lisa and John decided to take a walk to clear their minds. The beauty of the surrounding nature was breathtaking, with vibrant flowers and tall trees swaying gently in the breeze. It was a world away from the chaos that had chased Lisa to this cabin. "Do you think they'll really come for me?" Lisa asked as they strolled along a dirt path. John looked thoughtful. "I don't know, but I'm not going to let that happen. We'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe." Just then, Lisa's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and saw a message from an unknown number. Her heart sank as she read the words. "You can't hide from us. We know where you are." Panic surged through her. "John, look." She showed him the message, her hands shaking. John's expression hardened. "We need to get back to the cabin. Now." They hurried back, dread growing with each step. As they reached the cabin, they found Derek pacing nervously by the front door. "What's wrong?" he asked, noticing their frantic expressions. Lisa held out her phone, her voice trembling. "I just got this message. They know where we are." Derek's eyes narrowed, and he immediately took control. "Okay, we need to act fast. Sam, can you check the perimeter for any signs of trouble?" "On it," Sam replied, rushing out the door. Derek turned to Lisa and John. "We need to stay calm. We have a plan, and we've prepared for this. Let's stick together." Lisa nodded, trying to suppress her fear. "What do we do now?" Derek took a deep breath. "We'll keep a lookout and make sure we're ready for anything. If they come, we'll be ready to protect you." Time felt like it stretched on forever as they waited. Lisa's heart pounded in her chest, and every sound made her jump. She felt the walls of the cabin closing in on her, reminding her of the dangers she had escaped. Suddenly, Sam burst back through the door, his face pale. "We've got company." The black SUV is parked down the road, and it looks suspicious. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. "What do we do?" "Stay inside and lock the doors," Derek commanded, his voice firm. "We'll figure out what they want." John moved to the window, peering through the curtains. "I can see them. They're just sitting there. It doesn't look like they're getting out." Derek approached John. "Can you see who's inside?" "No, the windows are tinted. I can't make anything out," John replied, tension radiating from his body. "Let's stay hidden for now," Derek decided, moving to the other window. "We'll wait for them to make a move." As they waited in silence, Lisa's mind raced. Who were these people? Why were they following her? She had hoped that this place would be a refuge, but now it felt like a trap. Minutes felt like hours as they kept watch on the SUV parked at the end of the driveway. Lisa clutched her phone tightly, wishing she had never opened that message. Suddenly, she heard a noise outside, a crunching of gravel. Derek turned to the others, his eyes wide. "They're getting out of the car." Lisa's heart dropped. She could barely breathe as she watched Derek motion for everyone to stay quiet. They peered through the window, anxiety rippling through the air. A man and a woman stepped out of the SUV, their faces obscured by sunglasses and hats. Lisa's heart raced. Who were they? What did they want? "Stay close," Derek whispered, positioning himself protectively in front of Lisa and John. As the couple approached the cabin, Lisa felt a mix of fear and adrenaline. She knew they had to make a choice, fight or run. Whatever happened next would change everything.